Hello, buongiorno, ciao. My name is not Luca Parassi. Buy my book, molto grazie. No, my name is Dino Veshra. Dino V even. Don't say that. Dino V. Who's Dino Veshra? Anyway, my name is Dino V. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. Don't know why I'm trying to sound like Bo. It's supposed to be David Frost. Anyway, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like, comment, and all that stuff. What I'm going to talk about today, it's an anniversary. Today is November the 24th. So happy birthday to you over there. Well, actually, it's down there. That person knows whose birthday it is that I'm talking about. But on November the 24th, 1986, I went to a very, very special show to see my hero. And what was the show that I went to? Well, was this. Can you read what it says on the ticket? It's Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, Monday the 24th of November 1986. Doors open at 7, commences at 8. Royal Variety Performance in the presence of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, in aid of the Entertainment Artists Benevolent Fund. You had to be seated by 7:45 and evening dress was required. Da, 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 da. So why did I want to go to the Royal Variety Performance? Well, have a guess. I think you may know. In 1963, the Beatles performed on it, and Lennon did his cheeky little quip of "You in the cheap seats, clap your hands, and the rest of you just rattle your jewellery." Paul McCartney was going to appear on the show the first time since 1963, but why was he going to appear on it, and how could I even get a ticket? Because where was it? The Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. I think it only has a few hundred seats, and I needed a ticket. I wanted to see Paul. And let me just take you back to 1986. Paul had not done a concert tour or concerts with a band since 1979, when he performed last time with Wings in London. After that, he didn't play live again until Live Aid on July 13th, 1985, which I also went to. And then he played again on June 1986 at the Prince's Trust concert, which I also went to. So basically, Paul McCartney was not touring. So when he appeared and he was in the UK, I wanted to make sure, if possible, financially, mentally, physically, and if I get tickets, I'd go along to see him. So November the 24th, 1986 was a major, major event that Paul was going to be playing live. I was going to go to London. Now, going through my bits, because I have got a lot of bits. This is a real sad piece of paper here. So I don't know if it's mind control or whatever, but on this I've written, I will have a Royal Variety Performance ticket. So what I did was I rang up this company. This is in the days when you only had house phones. Keith Prowse Ticket Agency in London. I rang them up and asked for a ticket. Excuse me, I itched my nose. So Keith Prowse, I've got written here, Banda House, Cambridge, Grove, Hammersmith, London. So I rang them up and they said, yes, we've got a ticket. And I think they said it was something like £75. I said, could you keep it for me? I hadn't got a credit card back then, I don't believe, if I hadn't got money in it. So they said, we'll keep it for you, £75. So I wasn't at work that day. Headed into London, got to the Keith Prowse Ticket Agency, took some money out of the bank, had some spare cash for me as well. And I seem to remember they said, sorry, the £75 ticket's gone. It's like, it's £150, last one we got left. £150 in 1986. I don't think it's quite £10,000 now, but it's a heck of a lot of money. So anyway, I pondered, I think I probably had to go down to a cash machine. I'm pointing downstairs to get the ticket. And so as you can see, my ticket cost me a whopping £150. But then I was thinking, well, I haven't seen Paul much in the last few years live. In fact, hardly anybody has. So I got my ticket, marvellous, very, very happy, and headed off to the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane. What I want to do is just a bit of background on why was Paul performing on the Royal Variety Performance. Well, let's just go back. I'm talking solo McCartney after the end of Wings now. Paul was having a quite good few years from 1980. He was having many, many hits and selling many, many records. So, if you go back to 1980, UK and US #1 album McCartney 2, US #1 single, UK #2 single, that was 1980. 1982, Tug of War, massive album, big seller, #1 UK, US and around the world. Ebony and Ivory, #1 all around the world. 1983, it was on a roll. Pipes of Peace. Now, this album didn't sell so well. I think it got to UK number, I have to check it, number four, I believe it was. So, not as big sales. And I remember at the time, many people were saying, oh yeah, people only buying it because Michael Jackson's on. I'm sure a lot of Jacko fans bought it. But the single was a US #1 and a UK #2. So singles-wise, he was still doing good. And his albums were all getting top 5. Pipes of Peace had dropped off a bit. And of course, the second single from Pipes of Peace was the title track, Pipes of Peace, which was a UK #1. Between 82 and 84, 83, Paul was busy making his Broad Street film and recording music. So in 84, the album came out, Give My Regards to Broad Street, a UK #1. I think it got to number 21 in the US. UK #2 single, No More Lonely Nights. So as I say, you can see Paul's on a roll. It was such a successful period for him for sales of singles and albums. In fact, in the UK, after No More Lonely Nights, Paul released We All Stand Together, which was Christmas #3. It kept off the top because Band Aid were there with Do They Know It's Christmas, and then you had Wham at #2 with Last Christmas. So if they hadn't been released, this would have been the #1 single. But it's Christmas, and in the UK, people buy and do many strange things. In 85, it changed. Paul hadn't got an album out, and so he recorded a track for an album called Spies Like Us and released as a single. So there's the Spies Like Us. Actually, I think this is a promo one that I've got of this. And this single didn't do so good. This single only got to number 13. I like it, but it's not a classic, brilliant McCartney song. I wish he'd still do it live, and I love the ending of the track. So that was 85, and it went to show that just because it's Paul McCartney, it doesn't necessarily mean now it's going to sell and be a big hit. And so, 86. Paul records his Press to Play album, which I love. Where's the archive box set? That's the only time I'm going to mention it. And he releases the lead single from it, Press. A cute little ditty. I actually like the track. But this only got to number 25. Now, for the first lead single of Paul McCartney's new album, that is a disaster. That is a bomb. That is a failure. Whichever way you look at it, it was not good. Compared to his last few albums where the lead single got to number 1, 2, 3. Very, very high chart positions. So then Paul releases Pretty Little Head. Well, how did that do? That did even worse. That didn't even dent the charts. Amazing, incredible, brave release to have this single released. There's some paraphernalia stuff here. I've got a Press to Play bag, club sandwich, Press to Play, a Press to Play songbook. So I believe Paul and EMI, MPL, Parlophone, whoever, must have had a bit of a worry. New album out and it's sliding down the charts. In fact, the album, Press to Play, where did I say it got to? Was it this got to number 8 in the British charts, which for Paul is a disaster. For many other artists, it's great to be top 10, but for Paul, this is his worst performing album in the British charts since Wildlife in 1971, which got to number 11. So it was bombing and beginning to bomb. When you're promoting a single or an album, obviously you want adverts on TV if you're going to have them, get on TV chat shows, do lots of radio performances, promote it as much as you can. So Paul did a few chat shows. He did Wogan in the UK. But then when this theatre, when the Royal Variety performance came out, it was quite a coup or scoop because millions would watch that and it would be shown on the Saturday night, which is considered prime time TV. So I'll show you some more stuff here. And I didn't know what Paul was going to perform. And as I say, I got my ticket, which I paid 150 quid for, which I still moan and go on about. Lost my train of thought there. So Paul had agreed to do this, but he's not in the programme. So he was a last minute addition. And it makes me think the programme was printed before Paul was added to the roster. And we didn't know what he was going to perform. We didn't know if he was going to be of a band, if he performed something old, maybe a Beatles track. And here is my programme. This is my programme from back then. And what it was doing, it was celebrating, was it 50 years of being on TV? Paul's not in the programme, as I say. This is the Radio Times, stating that when it's going to be on television. And on this it says the Royal Variety Performance at Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, celebrates 50 years of TV in front of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Not the Queen, the Queen Mother. And it was shown on BBC One on Saturday the 29th of November. So that's 5 days after it was recorded. It was on at 7:15, it was on till 8:40. And the people that were performing, I'm not going to list them all because it's a flaming long list. So you've got Rory Bremer, a British impersonator. You've got Max Bygraves, I want to tell you a story. He did say that. You had Marty Kane, a brilliant and hilarious comedian and female impersonator. Frank Carson, I want to tell you a story. I know I'm not very good at impersonations. You got Sid Charisse, you got Petula Clark, Downtown. I don't like that song much. Ronnie Corbett, you know, he was out of two Ronnies. No, Four Candles. No, four Candles. And he was also in a programme called Sorry. And there's a bit more I'm going to mention on him in this in a moment. So you've also got Ken Dodd. Oh, tickle me tickle sticks. Is that what he does? Ken Dodd and the Diddy Men. So he was on. Val Doonican, who had a top TV show and is a great entertainer. Noel Edmonds, who Paul was on his TV show a few years before promoting Say, Say, Say. And Noel Edmonds had he was a big DJ on Radio 1, Top of the Pops. Very well-known personality. You've also got Stefan Grappelli. Did he play the violin? He did, didn't he? I hope so. Because I know when I ever say anything wrong, people always put in the comments, no, that's the wrong year, that's the wrong colour, that's the wrong football, or whatever they say. He did play violin, didn't he? Am I getting confused with Yehudi Menuhin? I don't know. Anyway, get on with it, Dino. Also on the bill was David Jason. Now, if you know the programme Only Fools and Horses, that's what David Jason was in, and he was a big comedy star. He also did serious stuff later. He did the cop TV show. Let's get it right. Was it Morse or was it the other one? It's not Morse, is it? It's the other one. Morse was what's... Anyway, he's been a very popular, famous British actor, and he's also in Open All Hours. It wasn't Morse. What was it called? I can't remember. Anyway, Aled Jones, Walking in the Air. Penelope Keith, who was in The Good Life. Brilliant British comedy programme, and To the Manor Born. She was very posh, Penelope Keith. Also, you had on, Well, You Know You Make Me Wanna Shout, who's still doing the rounds now. Also, Nicholas Lyndhurst was on it. It was in Butterflies and in Only Fools and Horses. You had Vera Lynn, We'll Meet Again. There won't be bluebirds over the White Cliffs of Dover because I didn't have bluebirds in the UK. Ruth Maddox, Heidi Hay? Is that what she did in Heidi Hay? Didn't like that programme. Yeah, Bob Monkhouse, great British entertainer, many TV programmes, brilliant stand-up comic genius. Actually, he didn't live too far from here. Nana Muscori, I can't do any of her songs. Nicholas Parsons, he presented a top TV show called... Was it Mr. and Mrs.? That was Derek Beatty. Anyway, Nicholas Parsons on TV presenting shows. Michael Parkinson, The Chat Show, who Paul appeared on his show in 1999, which I was at as well. And he's on the Band on the Run cover. Sue Pollard was also in Heidi High, which I didn't like. Angela Rippon, a great newsreader, and I said she'd been on Strictly Come Dancing recently. Anyway, there's a heck of a lot of people, including Peter Ustinov, Marty Webb, Take That Look Off Your Face, Terry Wogan. I went on his show as well. And the late, great Victoria Wood, fantastic, brilliant British comedian. So that's the list in the Radio Times of people that's going to appear on the show. But no Mr. Paul McCartney. I don't know why I did that accent. So anyway, what to do? Went to London, headed down to Drury Lane, to the theatre. I got there very early and I had to dress smart. You couldn't go in jeans and t-shirt. They wouldn't let you in. They simply would not let you come. No, you can't come and look at that, Mr. Dino V. I don't care if you're whoever you are. Well, nobody. But you had to wear a nice white shirt, jacket, bow tie, which I had. I didn't wear the bow tie during the day because that would have been a bit too much. But you had to dress smart, because it was a very privileged thing. I didn't wear much jewellery, but I would clap if I liked the acts. So I got to Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. There were a few people milling around, as in people waiting outside to get autographs. One thing I did notice was there was a lot of tourists there, and they tend to be from America. There's always American tourists. I know it's an awful accent, so I won't do it. But there was loads of tourists around, and a few said, "Oh, what's going on today? Why are there a few people congregating?" I said, "Oh, it's the Royal Variety Show, the Royal Variety Performance, Command Performance, whatever you want to call it. We all call it different things." And they said, "Who's on?" I said, "I don't really know." I did, but I didn't want to say Paul McCartney because I thought there's going to be tons of people. Paul McCartney's here, etc. Just a side, but when I was waiting outside, I saw a lot of these stars go in. But I didn't want to waste in the days of the old camera where you got to buy a film, put it in, wind it on with your battery or press the button. Didn't want to waste taking pictures. I wanted to keep them from Mr. Paul McCartney, who I was waiting for. Isn't that right, Paul? Yeah. So I was hung around there, and I remember actually two women come along. Was it Cagney and Lacey? I can't remember their names, but they walked by, and so loads of Americans went and got their autographs. And so I hung around, hoping there'd be a chance of Paul turning up. So would Paul turn up? Well, of course he's going to turn up for the show. But I hung around a lot. It was a cold, cold day. Like in England today, it's a dreary, miserable, wet, windy day. And so I hung around waiting for Paul to come. And click, 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 got my camera out and took lots of photographs like you do. This was the second time I'd seen Paul in 1986. I'd already seen him at the Prince's Trust, where I got to meet him, chat to him. I got his autograph, but no photos. And that was out after the gig at the Prince's Trust. And I did get to see Paul again a few weeks after this at the Tube Newcastle TV show, where again, I got some fabulous photos and signed stuff. But today it was November the 24th, 1986. And here's some of the pictures, which you've never seen before. Well, I know that because I took them. Unless you look from a photo album, you've never seen them. Some are good, some aren't so good. And bear in mind, this is the rehearsal. Okay, so I'm not sure if Paul pulled up with Linda and John Hammel driving the Mercedes-Benz, MPL Mercedes-Benz they had. I think they come along in the Mercedes. Then, obviously, they got out. Yeah, they did. They did, actually. I know they did. So here's a photo. Some of these aren't brilliant, but here's Paul. So there's Paul. Look, see him just there? So, okay. That's not a great one. So I've said that this, on the back of this photo says you've got Alan Crowder there. So Alan Crowder just there worked for MPL. He was with Paul since the Wings days, so he'd done many, many things with Wings and Paul. And I've written on here, what have I written? Yeah, Alan Crowder, MPL glasses. Paul arriving to perform a variety performance. So that's photo number one. This is a brilliant photograph, this one, if I don't say so myself. Look at this one. You've never seen that, have you? Look, that's what Paul was like for the rehearsal. And there he is signing something for me. In the back, if you can see there, let's get this right. It's Trevor Jones just there. Trevor Jones, like Alan Hammel, Alan Crowder had been with Paul for many, many years. He worked as a roadie. They were kind of security men as well. They always kept fans like me away. I was all right, but some of the girls were a bit, oh, Paul. And I was never like that. But Alan Crowder and Trevor Jones would keep a lot of the crazy fans away. I mean, we're all crazy fans, aren't we? I mean, you're going to go and see them in December? Maybe. So here's another photo, but this actually, I handed it to someone to get a photo of me and Paul. Now, it didn't quite work out because if you look at me, that's my nose sticking out there, and there's Trevor Jones next to me. I don't know where Paul is, and I don't know who took the photograph. Here's a great one. I took this one. This is Paul, Linda, and Trevor Jones again. This is again the rehearsal when they're going inside to rehearse. So they quickly rushed inside, billy bong, bangly bang. But what they did do before they went in, because they were very, very kind to me, was sign some stuff. So here is my sign, press to play cassette inlay. Now if you look there, Paul signed it there. Linda looking beautiful, looking up at Paul. That is Eric Stewart's signature, and that one's Linda. Love, Linda. So that's one of my prized possessions signed on this day in 1986. Oh, all those years ago. I know it's the wrong song, the wrong album, but great memories. Pretty unique as well. Another thing I want to say about this show is many fans go to many concerts and they'll turn up and try and get in things and TV shows, and a lot of us have been lucky. Did you go to this show? Because I've met any other fan says, yeah, I went to that show. I guess you've got to be UK based or in the UK on holiday. And then if you're at school, obviously you might not have gone, even though it was in the evening. And I think I found out about this just a little newspaper clipping saying Paul McCartney's going to appear on a Royal Variety Show about 2 weeks before, and that's what kicked me into gotta see McCartney. Because you've got to have to remember back then as well, we didn't know if Paul was ever going to tour again. I didn't. I never thought he was going to tour. But when I see him at the Prince's Trust in '86, it made you think. He did 3 songs. I saw her standing there, Long Tall Sally and Get Back, and you think, why isn't he playing anymore? Maybe he'd lost his confidence. I think he'd lost his confidence a bit. He hadn't got a band together, so he'd had to get a band together, hadn't he? That's my theory anyway. So they signed that for me. Here's some photos which I brought over the years. And if you look at the picture, so these photographs, tell you what, I got this signed as well. Nana Mosconi, Nana Mosconi. I don't know any of her songs. I know she's a brilliant Greek singer, I believe. What does it sound about? I don't know. I think it's promoting one of her albums. Yeah, it's promoting her album. Anyway, Nana Mosconi signed, handed that to me. And I didn't know, I got these signatures and I didn't know who they were from until I posted this up a while ago. And somebody told me that is David Jason, Nicholas Lyndhurst, and I can't remember the name of the other person who played Uncle Albert. I can't remember. But I've got the cast of Only Fools and Horses. And if you look there, it's signed as well to Dino, Ronnie Corbett. Now, Ronnie Corbett, as I say, is the one with the glasses. Used to be on the Two Ronnies and it did the brilliant Four Candles sketch. But I got Ronnie Corbett's autograph by using my by using my head and brains. Because what had happened was Paul McCartney's MPL Mercedes was parked outside the theatre. So Paul had gone in, Linda had gone in, Trevor Jones had gone in, Alan Crowder and John Hammel had gone in. So I'm standing next to the car and some people, this is Paul's car which was locked up outside, and some people said to me, and they were American, there's always lots of Americans in London, and they said to me, oh, they were talking about a car, it's a nice car, and I said, it's Paul McCartney's car. They go, what, you joking me? And I said, no, it is. I said, how do you know? I explained, I'm a fan, you know, I like his music, he's all right. And they said, will you do us a favour? And this is the God's honest truth. And I said, what's that? They said, would you pretend you're Paul McCartney's chauffeur? I said, I always say Americans are crazy. They're not crazy, they're just, I like their way of thinking a lot of the time. They do make me laugh. I said, you want me to be his chauffeur? I said, yeah, you've got the shirt, you look smart. We'll ask you a few questions. I said, well, I don't know the answers. And this is God's honest truth. So I said, okay. And they had this massive video camera. When I say big, it was big. It was a massive camera, a massive lens and everything. Not like you can do on your phone now. It was gigantic. It must have weighed a ton. So I said, don't ask me any too technical questions or whatever. So I think they said to me things like, oh, where does Paul go to eat with Linda? What does he have in the car? And I looked in the window and there were cassettes in the car. And I seem to remember there was some, I can't remember if I read it on them or it was just my mind going, oh, he likes to play rock and roll cassettes like Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly and everything. And there was some chewing gum, and I said he always takes chewing gum just to hide the smell or taste of if he's had anything like food or if he's smoking, if you know what I mean. So there was some chewing gum, and they said, I said he goes to vegetarian restaurants around London, but I'm not going to name them all and everything because otherwise fans will go in. Bear in mind, I was lying about all of this. So somewhere in 1986, someone filmed me in London pretending I was John Hammel, Paul's chauffeur, which I am not and I was not. So sorry, John Hammel, and me impersonating someone. And if people have watched it and think, in America, it's Paul McCartney's chauffeur, it wasn't. It was just me impersonating him. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see how stupid I must look, even stupider than now. So hopefully it exists on videotape somewhere. So if you knew any people that went to the variety performance, I'd love to know who the American people were. There might be an answer to it on one of these sites. Sorry, Mitch, I know. I always do this when I'm doing a live video. So anyway, so I impersonated Paul's chauffeur. And then what happened was, Paul didn't come out, I seem to remember. It does get a bit hazy. Anyway, the car left after a while, a few hours probably, and then drove round the corner. So I thought, I'm going to follow it. There weren't many people around then. And I thought, I'm going to follow this car and see where it goes. And it stopped outside the Waldorf Hotel. And this is my favourite bit of the day, I think. Was it? I think so. So I hung around at the Waldorf. I went inside the Waldorf, put my bow tie on. And I suppose I looked like a waiter or somebody that worked in there. And I saw not John Hammel, Alan Crowder go in. He got in the lift. I got in the lift next to him. He looked at me like that. And I saw that he got off. whatever floor it was. He got off at the floor. So I got off and peered round and saw him walk to down the corridor. And I seemed to remember there was a security guard outside. So I thought, that's where Paul is. So I went back up in the lift, come back down, got off on that floor, went along, and Alan Crowder come out. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to see Paul." He goes, "No, don't hassle him. Leave him alone. It's private, etc." Which I understand. And this is one thing that I think you have to bear in mind. Being 1986, it had only been a few years previously where Paul's mate obviously got shot and killed. And I could have been anyone. I could be no one. I'm just a fan. So anyway, he said leave. So I kind of got escorted out. I left him around. I said, okay, fair enough, I understand. But he wouldn't get me any photos or anything like that. But Alan Crowder used to see me at many things, and he was quite funny with me. He was all right, but it's just protective of Paul. He didn't know if I was crazy. Well, I must have been crazy going to London and spending £150 a ticket. Must I not? So anyway, I went down the lift, come out the lift, and I went to go into I think there was a bar place in it. I pushed the door and I nearly hit a guy coming out. And it was actually Ronnie Corbett. It was Ronnie Corbett. That's why I got him to sign that. And said, "Oh, sorry." And that was his big TV programme. Like, he goes, "How very funny" to me. I actually said sorry, meaning I was sorry, because I nearly hit him. He's only tiny. He's only about that big. And but the TV programme's called Sorry. And I said sorry, meaning sorry, not taking a mickey of the TV programme. So anyway, I go outside. I stand outside. The green Mercedes is out there. And I'm thinking, somebody's coming out of here to get in the car. Paul's going to come out and probably Linda. Anyway, standing there, and what happens? Lovely lady Linda comes out, and I chat to her. "Hi Linda, how are you?" She goes, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" She was so friendly, like she'd known me for years and years. Like I was her friend. I was sent to come into the shop. She goes, "Oh, good." And I said, "I like the album." And she goes, "Yeah." And she said, "What'd she say about the album?" There was something she said that she wished it had sold more, wish it was more popular. She goes, "It's great, it's a great album and everything." And I said, "Oh, I love Paul, your husband, he's my hero." And she goes, "I said, I went to the Prince's Trust." She goes, "Oh, Paul really loved that show." And many other things. So I said, "Can I have a photo?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, sure. That's me impersonating Linda McCartney now. So she said to the doorman, she was so polite. She didn't say, "Doorman, get here." She just said, "Would you mind taking off?" She was so polite, courteous, gracious, beautiful and lovely. So she got the doorman to come over, and he took a photo of Linda and I. I smile every time I see it. She just looks so young and beautiful. So you may have seen this before. Linda and I, November the 24th, 1986. Wow, I looked young there as well. And it's signed. It got signed a few weeks later in Newcastle when she saw me at the Tube TV show and come over chatting to me. But that's another story. So probably my most precious photo, besides ones with family, Linda and I, and it's outside the Waldorf Hotel. And I'm not sure she said to me, "Do you want a peck on the cheek?" Or I said a peck on the cheek. I'm sure she didn't say to me, "Hey, do you want to peck me on the cheek?" Anyway, pecked her. Can't she peck me on the cheek, or I pecked her on the cheek? I don't know. I haven't washed since. Anyway, so beautiful to meet her. Incredible. I seem to remember around that time it was getting close that I had to get into the theatre. So there we go. I rush into the theatre because it's only round the corner. And I think she said, "Enjoy the show." I've got to stop trying to do her accent. Went into the show, went in, put my bow tie on, checked my ticket, and they ripped they ripped the bit off the ticket, as you can see. I wish they'd have kept it. Wish they'd have kept the bit on the ticket. Because look, oh yeah, look who signed the back of it. Paul and Linda. It was quite nice, wasn't it? They ripped part of my McCartney signature off. And I might have said this before as well, but as far as I know, that's the only one in the world that is signed by Paul and Linda. I've never seen another one. Said it at the beginning of the video. If you did go to the Royal Vibe performance, let me know. Have you got photos? Have you got memories of it? I want to know. I'd love it if I'm the only McCartney fan that went to it. As I say, and I think Mark Lewison mentioned it as well in Beatles Monthly that Paul's going to be performing at the Royal Variety, but tickets were not cheap. As I say, I think the cheapest tickets was £60. Didn't know how long he was going to sing, but we did find out how long he sang for. Anyway, so here's some photos I purchased over the years. Paul, that's on the day of the Royal Variety. There's another one. And if you notice, he's got the same jacket on, as I'm going to show you in a moment. But he did wear a kind of necklace, a lovely round necklace thing when he performed. Okay, so I'll go inside. No, I think I'm lying. Has Paul arrived yet? No. I hadn't gone inside it. I'm outside. Paul arrives, dressed, ready to go in. So here we go. This is Paul, ready to go into the Royal Variety. Look at that jacket there that person's got. I'm sure that was a person, a McCartney fan that used to go to things. Now, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Is it John Heaton's jacket? I don't know. John Heaton has got a great channel. He has lots of great videos on Beatles and solo Beatles and everything. And I seem to remember seeing John Heaton at a few things, I think. I don't know if that's his lapel of his jacket. It's Paul going in again. Again, you've never seen these photographs. I know that because I took them. So I've written on here, Paul changed and arrived to perform at the Royal Variety. This one is a brilliant one because this lady here, this lady's getting Paul to sign an autograph book. So what I want to know about this lady is, do you know who this lady is? Is she a big McCartney or Beatles fan, or is she just a random passerby that saw Paul get out of his car? If you know who that lady is, let me know and get her to contact me, please. Because she hasn't even got this photograph. Go inside, take my seats. Where was I? Let's get where my seats were. Row L, seat 14. So if you row at A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So what, 12 rows from the front waiting to see McCartney. So I'm sitting down, I look back, and who's directly behind me? I believe it was Stella, Heather, Mary, James, and the nanny. And I looked round, and they were just young kids like I was. Well, I was slightly older now. No, Heather's older, Mary's older. But the other ones were very, very young. And I turned around and goes, "Oh, I've come here to see your dad." And the nanny kind of looked like me, very stern. He'd say, leave them alone, don't talk to them. And I said, "I saw your mum earlier." So she's looking again. I said, "You do know what I'm about, don't you?" And I leant back and said, "Look, I've come to see them." And I said, "You know who that is?" And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Heather, or it might have been Mary. Said, "Everybody knows who that is." Didn't have an accent like that. And it was a stupid, ridiculous thing that I said. And then the nanny said, please just don't have some, just enjoy the show and watch it. So I just sat there feeling smug, like you do. I do a smug face. I've seen Paul, Linda today. The kids are behind me. I've got better seats than them. Something like that. And then who comes out the corner of my eye? I see someone walking along, and he walks directly in front of me, and it's Alan Crowder. Again, he looks down at me, and he rolls his eyes. He goes, "Not you again." I said, I think I did an expression. "Well, I'm here to see Paul." And so he kind of leans over me, says to the kids and the nan, "You all right and everything?" Yeah, he goes, "Okay." Now, I guess he was just coming over to check that they're all right, not the fact that I'm sitting there, this fan from England, coming to see Paul. So I think he was just checking on the well-being, not that they were threatened or worried by me. I certainly hope not. Anyway, I felt quite smug and good that I'd got better seats than the McCartneys. Maybe I paid more money for the ticket. See, if you pay more money, you get things like you don't lose your music to other famous pop stars, do you? Anyway, so the show went on. It went on very, very long time. Can't remember much about it, but it was great to watch. And then Paul comes on. Didn't know what he was going to perform. Didn't know if he was going to sing or if he have a band or whatever. But Eric Stewart was with him. There was, I believe, a saxophonist. Linda was on there singing. Oh, let's get his name. I always get the name wrong. Is it Tessa Niles or is it Vicky Brown? Sorry, my mind freezes. Who sang it? And Paul sat at this gigantic piano. Here's the piano. See that? To perform "Only Love Remains." So there's Linda. And is that Tessa Niles or Vicky Brown? I really don't know. Joe Brown's lovely wife, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And so he performed "Only Love Remains" to obviously try and help it get up the charts and promote the album. But even that didn't work, because "Only Love Remains," let's just see where this got to in the charts. "Only Love Remains" got to number 34. It didn't bother me where the single got to in the charts, because I love the song. I even love the designer. Who designed this? The cover illustration was by Bartok Skodziek. Great cover, isn't it? It's a beautiful song, and the single version is different from what is on the album. It's remixed. Does it say who it's remixed by here? Produced by McCartney and Padgham, remixed by Jim Boyer. And then Paul did it live on the show, as I say. So that's my story, basically, of me going to the Royal Variety performance, 24th of November 1986. Great memories, great fun. Chatted to Paul in there, got various signatures, got some great photographs, saw him perform live. And again, you didn't know at that time that he was going to get a band together and end up touring. And here we are in 2024. What's that? 24 and 14. It's 38 years later. And Paul's playing next month in Madrid, in Paris, in London, in Manchester. Are you going? He's just done South America and Mexico and various... Well, there's just no stopping the guy. And I'm so grateful, well, to me, I suppose, and Mark Lewis and Beatles Monthly and everything, for seeing this little thing that said Paul's going to be performing on the Royal Variety and go along to see him perform one song. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That's my memories of the day, because no one else has done a video of memories of that day, probably because they didn't go. But if you did, comment right down below. Did you watch the show? What did you think of the song or the remix? Or more importantly, did you go to it? Have you got any photos? I'd like, if you did go and you have got photos, I want to see if I'm on any of the photos, because I might have photos. I haven't shown all the photos I got. I might have photos with you on with Paul, which you've never seen before. So I just want to say, comment, please like and subscribe. I'll see you somewhere possibly in December. And this is Dino V saying goodbye to you all. Watch all the other shows. Watch Two Legs with Andy and Tom. Andrew Dixon's shows are brilliant. You've got who's the guy that wears the cap? Who's the guy that wears the cap and uploads on the Sundays? Anyway, there's loads of shows. Of course, Beatley Town likes to smash his pictures. Beatley Town, you know what I mean? He's all right. He's a geezer. So watch all those. And of course, there's John Heaton. I like his shows. I like most of the Beatles stuff. And thank you for watching this Dino V saying goodbye. Extremely long video. Didn't mean it to be this long. Take care. Thanks for watching, and see you now and then.